Freak, do you find that you're guilty of making mindless commissions of error? And is it not especially disturbing if it happens to filter into your gambling? I mean, have you had that happen to you yet?
I got married.
Were you sincere when you said I do? That you thought this was going to last until death did you part? Or were you ready to kill her after 5 minutes?
I sort of, I sort of thought that foolishly, but things happen, and
how sure were you? I mean, is it just something you wanted to believe, or did you really believe that was going to happen? Like Lubie with Game 6 in the Heat.
No, I mean, I obviously thought, when I got married, it was going to last. I wouldn't have got married if I didn't. It's like putting in a bet. You don't put a bet in, you think you're going to lose. Like, I thought I was going to lose.
People were on the under at my, especially this last marriage, which I think, the under players got crushed already.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. Many of us are peeling ourselves off the mat here in South Florida, although the game did not end up so atrociously late at even getting that early morning wake-up call. It's rarely do I sleep all the way to the alarm going off, and I still use an old clock radio alarm, which I don't trust the alarm on my phone. It goes off routinely on a Tuesday at 8 and 8:30 during the show because I don't know how to turn it off. And I'm not sure how to engage it. And I'm not sure that it's strong enough to jolt me out of a deep sleep, especially when you go to sleep feeling that euphoric sense, as if, as if you've finally fallen asleep on a Xanax after doing a pyramid of cocaine for 3 days. And you're just out cold. So I have my radio set to the old 1470.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, where we were with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show, and unfortunately, during various stints of radio purgatory type work, I also had appeared as a regular host. So I put it on that, but they switched that station to just a hideous array of oldies. The kind of oldies that nobody in their right mind would want to listen to, right? My baby takes the morning train.
Like sucky oldies.
I want to put a bullet right in my brain.
It's
like Sheena Easton songs, right? Reminds me of that hideous incident there at the Rio many years ago, which I've discussed here on the show, where sure enough, as you're trying to sneak out of there with a hood over your head and your head down, and you're trying to run straight to a slot machine so nobody will notice that you were at this show, there are three guys that you know from the track, and they go, "Hey, Defo!" And you're like, "What?" No, I wasn't there. I didn't go see David Cassidy and Sheena Easton. What are you kidding me? All right, what did we see last night? What we saw was, I had to. This is one of those deals. We've discussed this with Mike Mayo and anybody that wrote for a newspaper and covered teams on a regular basis. Lubie, I don't know that you ever had this experience, except it came close. If you were going to be in electronic media when you left the building before the Ray Allen shot. And all of a sudden, you have to change it. Now, I used to cover on a fairly tight deadline Dodger and Angel games. And even if you were talking about the Lakers and the LA Kings, those games had a tendency to end a little bit earlier, right? If they were starting up a Laker game at 7:30 out there at the old LA Forum. Okay, so you were going to be in there by 10 o'clock. If you had an 11 o'clock deadline, you were able to make that pretty easily. But I mean, part of the game was to, if you're going to be really, really tight on this thing, to have your story written before it ended. Which can be, a very, curious position to be in because what happens if everything changes?
Yep.
Somebody comes up, hits a grand salami with two away, when there was nobody on, 2 outs, 2 strikes on a weak hitter. The 8th place guy is up there at the plate. And next thing you know, the game's going into extra innings and you have to rip up your lead. And I think you had to do that last night because the story was DOA, my friends, dead on arrival. The Miami Heat facing, think about these impossible odds. They had played a pretty good ball game. They had shot the ball very well throughout and still were trailing by 8 going into the fourth quarter. The Denver Nuggets, as they have been throughout the season and certainly throughout the postseason, had found a way after giving up a 15-point lead that they had achieved in the second quarter, which was remarkable in and of itself. And you thought, whoa, is this team being outclassed? They're up 11 points. They're handed an 11-point spot early in the game, and next thing you know, they're down 15, and the second quarter isn't even over yet. But they managed to close the gap, and they got within 5 at halftime. And then the third quarter kind of teetered back and forth. And the next, time you looked up at the scoreboard, well, wait a minute, we're going in the fourth quarter, and Denver's up 8.
Yeah.
Crazy. Jokic was doing his thing. He really is. And we were talking about this just before we came on here, in between shows, more or less. It's Quasimodo in Converse high tops, is it not?
It's the weirdest thing. When he has the ball in his hand, he has a great handle. He has as good vision as LeBron or Magic. He can hit a shot from anywhere on the court. But when they're in transition,
how does he do that from behind his head like that? I mean, that the shot is so awkward.
It's fucking weird.
Everything about this guy is awkward, is it not? I think when he takes a leak, it's awkward. When he unzips his fly, just to stand in front of a urinal. This guy does nothing that looks conventional.
Because when they're in transition or in defense, it looks like Danny Shays is out there. Like,
yes,
I can't find a bigger clod like Greg Ostertag. Like, it's not because you'll have Shaq and they go, wow, he's big, but his footwork.
Big Country, remember that guy? Big Country was like that.
Yes, it's like he looks like a clod on defense or in transition. He looks like a clod on offense. It's like freaking Pete Maravich. It's the weirdest thing to watch him from one side to the next.
Everything he puts up goes in for the most part. I'm amazed he doesn't shoot 100% from the field. Even the bricks go in. Bonks one off the backboard, it rattles around, goes in. Well short on a hook shot. It kisses the front rim, crawls over, and goes in. Awkward shots from either side while being gang tackled by 3 or 4 members of the Heat or the opposition. And somehow it goes in, and he goes to the stripe, and he makes his free throws.
100%.
So, he has 41 points in the game last night. If you looked at that, you would have said, all right, Denver in a romp. And it did appear that they were set up for another runaway, and the Heat would be down, as most people expected, 2-0. 32-1 they were when leading going to the fourth quarter during the course of the season and the postseason. 32-1. The Denver Nuggets, and the Heat come out, smack him in the face. So all of a sudden, Duncan Robinson is Reggie Miller, and he scores 11 points in like 3 seconds. I guess it was 10. But sounded better that way, didn't it? I mean, but it seemed impossible. They're up 8. Next thing you know, they're trailing the Denver Nuggets because of Duncan Robinson, who had done nothing in the entire course of 2 games. Had done literally nothing. He was a disgrace in game number 1, a non-factor, and kind of an afterthought in this game. And then Spoelstra. Is Spoelstra a great coach, or is he just gifted by magic?
Like McKeon.
Yeah, I mean, is he Trader Jack? Very good analysis and an analogy there. Mike Lubie Lubitz, doing everything that you possibly can to sabotage the team, and at the same time, it looks like a stroke of genius, right? Of course, I'm going with Beckett in Game 6.
The Mordecai. Because I remember watching
Mordecai the Jew. Yeah, remember that when they put him in there?
I remember it was like it was either an early playoff game or a regular season game, because I remember watching it. I remember them going, all right, they're putting in Mike Mordecai.
He would come in to pinch run for Miggy.
It's like
Cabrera. I mean, your best hitter, and then end up in a key at bat. Hitting 138.
Because it's like the 5th inning. It's like, don't you need Miggy for the next 2 at bats?
Didn't you realize he was coming up 3rd in the bottom of the 9th? What kind of crap? Jack McKeon.
Then Mordecai would get in a bat in the 7th, and he would drive in the 2
in a grand slam.
I was like, what a great call.
This Jack McKeon, I tell you what, he knows how to pull all the right tricks here.
What are you talking
out
about?
of the bag.
Senile.
Right. The guy's asleep.
They don't even know where Jack is.
Jack. I mean, there was one thing when Jimmy Leland was betting horses, which I was absolute witness to. This was very Trump-esque. You're on tape. Yeah. But Jimmy Leland would be calling my friend Phil Saltzman, who was announcing the race as a caller. It'd be the middle of the 6th inning. And the phone would ring, and you had to answer as a track announcer because I guess you had a separate phone for the stewards. If they were calling, it was automatic. Oh, yeah, I got to take this. Meanwhile, Phil's like, filling out his football betting card. And, it's September. And the race is, very much in play as the Marlins are trying to make a move, into the postseason. And here's Jimmy Leland calling and going, I want 200 to win on the 6. And It's like, what? And Tony Perez is right behind him. Yeah, man, the 6. And you're thinking, these degenerates are sneaking out of the dugout. Yeah, Jack went into the clubhouse there to check on one of the players. No, he didn't. He was watching the third at Calder on TVG. Incredible. Well, they didn't have TVG back then, but nonetheless, I think he had a direct pipeline to the track feed because it was close enough proximity. I think they just ran a wire right to what was Joe Robbie Stadium at the time, and said, here you go, Jimmy. You can bet all you want. Maybe they even booked his action. That's possible too. No, Saltzman was doing that. But yeah, I don't know. Did Spo do this by stroke of genius? He ended up starting Kevin Love in a ball game, and a lot of people in their analysis of this victory are saying, "Whoa, what a move, man! He put Kevin Love in the lineup." But Caleb Martin was like puking his guts out, I think, the night before, and it was questionable to even play in the game, which he had a very marginal role. I know he appeared, but he didn't do anything, did he? Caleb Martin in this ball game?
I would explain it then, because he's been totally useless. I guess his defense. That's the thing. We forget defense doesn't matter, especially against an offense like the Nuggets. And Porter Jr., Murray, Gordon have been, outside of the first quarter that Gordon went fucking insane in game 1. Those 3 have actually been pretty stymied for the most part in this series.
No,
I think Martin
Porter has not been as good as he was in earlier playoff appearances here.
Well, he's used to getting, again, when you have 4 guys that can hit shots, someone's going to always be open. They're actually not getting a lot of open. The Heat are getting a lot of open looks. The Nuggets aren't. The Nuggets aren't getting a ton of open looks.
No, they're under some pressure.
And I think Porter Jr. is not used to that. I think look, when you're the 3rd or 4th guy and you have Jokic and fucking Murray, it should be like LeBron and Wade. Like when we would watch Mike Miller just brick 4 straight wide open threes and go, how the fuck do you, like when you're Porter Jr. and you have Jokic and Murray, like you should just be shooting threes all day. Like the Heat have not left him alone. Like the Heat have said, we're not going to give you that 3. And it really hurt them until the last 3 minutes when they decided to then leave them alone.
Maybe it is Poznak Jewish Center in the Western Conference with token defense, where you just put an arm up and you don't really challenge anything, any real physicality. Whereas, it's possible that there is better defense played in the East. The Heat looked like they got after it a little bit more than the Denver Nuggets did at the defensive end of the floor. But it still boils down to this, Lubie. We can analyze this till we're blue in the face. You can talk to Stephen A. Smith. You can talk to Kenny the Jet Smith. You can talk to anybody named Smith. You can talk to the Smith brothers while gargling with a bunch of cough drops, whatever you want. But it does boil down to the most simplistic of theories, which is, you going to do it with me?
No.
He who makes shots win game.
Yeah, honestly.
Right?
that's a difference from game 1.
I said that last night. I actually picked up some Chinese food. I went to something, the Golden Wok or something. I don't know. Whatever it was. And by the way, a very good General Chow's chicken.
Okay. How's a fried rice?
Very good. Fried rice is excellent there, yeah.
Like old school fried, because we keep getting things that they'll call fried rice, and it will be like white rice with tons of onions and nothing else. And it's like, I don't think this is...
No, they're very generous with the chicken. And it seems like a reasonable quality of bird that they use there.
Okay.
I saw it flying in the back before it got into my bowl of fried rice. But no, I have to say, I'm a big fan of, I don't get it very often because obviously, you don't want to put on 30 pounds eating Chinese food. But their General Chow's chicken was generously flavored with a kind of ginger that I really enjoyed. And it was hot, too. I mean, like spicy hot, that kind of thing. And a generous portion. China Wok, I think it's called. China Wok. I mean, they're not going to overwhelm you. Was it Wall Hops? No. But, very, very good for that kind of joint where you're not necessarily expecting culinary greatness. Is that a nice way of putting it? I wasn't expecting that much flavor to come out of this stuff. So, I would recommend it. They have a bunch of them. It's one in Pompano Beach. But I said this as I was picking up my stuff, and the guy almost let me go without paying. I said, no, you guys do a good job here. I don't want to deprive you of the $23.45 that it was for 2 dinners. And that was, he who makes shots win game. And that's what happened last night. I mean, 36 points in the fourth quarter. Duncan Robinson on fire. And what we thought was just we were going to administer death certificates today, weren't we? It was the lost weekend for the longest period of time, going back to Thursday night, and Heat's loss in game 1. Panthers come out Saturday night, wild anticipation. I think you got your money's worth of entertainment in that game.
Yeah, the Panthers didn't get outclassed or anything. They were in the game. It's just they lost.
What a bloodbath it is to win the Stanley Cup, though. Think about this. Think about what they've been through already, and then this. Going into Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. I mean, everybody's on hand there, right? I think they even dug up Liberace to do the national anthem. It's crazy. And if anybody could do it, it would happen in Vegas, right? Siegfried and Roy were performing. Didn't both of them check out now? I think both of them checked out.
I don't think they both got
Siegfried and Roy. Which was the guy that got bit by the tiger?
I think
that was Roy, wasn't it? Siegfried
Roy
was still around? Yeah. Siegfried was the more flamboyant one. Roy, it was kind of like Penn and Teller. And, in this case, Roy was Teller. Yeah, I mean, they faced this atmosphere, and then, Vegas was flying around, were they not? You had the Panthers coming off a little bit. There was a case where, did you have a little ring rust there? I'm not sure. They get the shorthanded goal to open things up, and you thought, my God, this is indeed a team of destiny. And they may well be. I wouldn't discount them from winning the game tonight. You didn't see that much of a differential between the two teams, did you? I don't know. Boston came in with all those accolades, and maybe did we overrate them? I don't know that you could. I mean, they had a phenomenal regular season, the Boston Bruins, and had the Panthers rather by the jugular, up 3-1. There was no indication that we were going to get any of this from the Florida Panthers, and then the way they mowed down Toronto and then Carolina. And they came in there and just didn't quite have it there. The third period did them in. Is the altitude to blame? No, not in Las Vegas. The heat?
No,
What
I
do you
mean,
think?
look, the nights are good.
Gambling? I mean, did they send a bunch of girls to their hotel room? That's what I would have done if I was in Las Vegas. Imagine, if they have, is the Golden Knights organization in any way connected to any casinos out there? I would imagine that would have been, a no-no for Gary Bettman. Even somebody as unscrupulous as Bettman probably wouldn't have allowed that, would he?
I don't know. Yeah,
Where some sports book owns the team?
The league's getting bed with these places, but I don't know if actual teams do. That's an interesting. If you're in Vegas, you would think you would have gambling connections.
I mean, who can afford to buy a hockey team? Steve Wynn?
Honestly.
Yeah. Third period, though, Vegas was clearly superior in that third period. And then, you had the double minor there to Kachuk, and the oddity of when they factor these in. Factor these things in. Talk about statistics going askew, Lubie. How do you factor this one in? They have a double minor. They don't score on the first power play, essentially. The Panthers pull their goalie, and then, they get an empty net goal inside of what was a second power play. So now when you see the power play percentage, it's going to reflect that, the Golden Knights, I think, are only like 2 for 8 or 10 so far in the series. But, how much, how misleading is that where you had an empty net power play goal? That would have to be a rarity, would it not? An empty net power play goal. I guess, circumstances would dictate that because at least you're going 5-on-5 at that stage. You still needed to make up 2 goals. But, that kind of sent the thing a little bit out of kilter there. Because did you see what they were doing on that first power play? They had to kill. They're up 4-2, and they get a double minor. So the last 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes were going to be Golden Knights power play. And they resurrected the old Dean Smith. Did you see that?
The 4 corners.
They were going 4 corners. Just passing a puck around, no intention of shooting it. That would have been another thing that would have sent that statistic, a little bit out of whack there, where, they don't score in 2 power plays, and you're thinking, well, they suck on the power play. But they didn't try to score. They almost, handed another goal to the Panthers in that situation, as I believe the Panthers had a pretty serious shot on goal. Tremendous save by that guy Hill on Cousins. How that happened, wow, what a fluke game this is, huh? It depends on so many things. The Panthers hit a couple of posts in the game also.
Yes. Oh, my God. That one fucking shot was annoying before they eventually got the second goal. It was like I thought they scored it. It was annoying. Oh, my God.
It was that little of a differential, and it seems like it's been that way the entire postseason for almost everybody that's been involved in the NHL.
Yeah,
playoff hockey is certainly different than
that Hurricane
regular season.
Was that entire thing was the Panthers got the lucky bounce and the Hurricanes didn't, and game 1 went the other way. So I'm hoping that we see a better Bobrovsky, we see a more aggressive Panthers offense because their offense was a little and we see them get some of the breaks that they didn't get in game 1.
Yes, I mean, and entirely possible. Although just as possible that Vegas, steamrolls them tonight,
Yeah.
and they come back here, and then once again, it looks like. Is there the possibility that we could be any more dead wrong throughout the postseason, except for you, Mike Lubie Lubitz? A lot of people out there are ye of little faith, are you not?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I had no confidence whatsoever going into that fourth quarter that the Heat were going to win that game against Denver last night. Not impossible. You can never rule it out. And both of these teams are inclined to streaks. Denver has been less likely than other teams to go into the tank, though, late in ball games. And even in this one, they did rally after they were down 11. And it looked like, I mean, they had a shot to take it to overtime there, and a reasonably good one. Although, not the greatest of plays drawn up there by Mike Malone. See, Tim Legler was making his point. One of the few guys that actually, seems to have a reasonable opinion, and he expresses himself in a rational fashion. Okay, here's a guy that, nobody's right about everything when they ask you to comment on everything, but he said that, if you're in need of a 3-point shot, your options are limited. You have to do something, and they know you're shooting an outside shot there. 12 seconds to go in the game. That there's no way you're going to throw it inside, get a quick 2, foul, and do all that garbage. Just not enough time left. Although teams do that. Would that have been an option, in your opinion, Mike Lubie Lubitz, to go ahead, drive it to the basket? This is a Hubie Brown thing. Yeah, go ahead, get the quick 2. And then foul somebody. The Heat were making their free throws. They were extremely effective from the free throw line and got to the stripe, 20 times in this game? 10 times as many as they did in game 1.
And they weren't
Somehow.
that much aggressive. Like they really weren't that. They shot nearly the same amount of threes, and they were at the basket about the same amount of fucking times. Because Jokic doesn't leave the basket, and he rarely commits a foul, even though he's a clod who can't move and is physical. He's a clod who can't move and is physical. Magically, with that combination, he fouls once again. He can get his first foul to like the third fucking quarter. The dude is barraging people on both ends of the floor. And he's a clod. So that means he's not athletic. That means
he should foul out of every game in the first quarter.
I'm saying if anyone's going to be physical and it be a foul, it wouldn't. He's not a king. He's not like fleet of foot. The dude's a clod. Like he wouldn't get his first foul in the third fucking quarter. So
he should, as they say, have 2 fouls before they get off the bus.
Yes.
The thing about him, though, it's great. He literally, on his drives to the basket, especially when Cody Zeller's in there, I think they want Zeller to just, they want to test that mask. Because they're looking for him. I've seen MMA matches that had less physicality in them than Jokic's drives to the basket. And this is an obscure. Are you ready for an obscure wrestling reference, Mike Louie Lubitz?
Yes.
Because he does. He throws more elbows than the Golden Boy out of White Plains, New York. The late great Arnold Skolin, who never won a match ever in my time of watching wrestling on WOR every Saturday. Which, this was must-see TV. There were a couple of things that you did, in terms of television viewing back in the day, Lubie, when it was like a luxury to have a color television. And the people that did have color TVs, they were filthy rich, Lubie. I mean, it wasn't like, your average guy on Long Island had a color TV. They had to be the filthy rich guys, guys that had their own planes. They had color televisions. And the color wasn't all that great. I mean, we certainly live in a lot of luxury today. By comparison, from a technological standpoint, you would expect there to be advances over the course of 70 years, Defo. Talking about the Stone Age, man. But must-see TV back then. Professional wrestling on Saturday night. For me, it was Don Dunphy ringside here at the Sunnyside Garden in New York City, right there in the heart of Queens. And tonight we have a beauty. We're going to have Ernie Terrell and Cassius Clay, the young brash kid from Louisville who won the gold medal in the Olympic Games. You're like, what? No, that was a fight of the week. Gillette Fight of the Week was a classic. I'm amazed. Who owns the rights to the Gillette Fight of the Week? Why don't we see those? Remember, were you a fan of ESPN Classic? It was unfortunate because how did they run out of material on ESPN Classic? They showed a lot of fights, and I remember I think there was a large swell of public sentiment saying that you have to stop showing us Jerry Quarry getting the shit beat out of him every night on ESPN Classic Because that's all I recall them showing, right? Maybe some old Oakland A's World Series with Joe Rudy and the boys coming in there, Catfish Hunter, Vita Blue, may he rest in peace. But how did they run out of material there? And if they did, why didn't they buy the rights to the Gillette Find of the Week, which I thought was a classic series? I guess what else? Make That Spare? Did you? No, you weren't familiar with that show.
Make That Spare. No.
Make That Spare.
Yeah. The Week, and I love it's been classic. I don't know Make That Spare.
That was for the sports fans, and then of course you got the weekly Ranger or Nick game. I think they might have alternated weeks back then, where you got a Nick game one Saturday and a Ranger game the next. Not sure that you saw both. Imagine this, Lubie. Maybe this is why you had to find other things to do with your life.
I was going to say, yeah.
You weren't watching, women's junior varsity lacrosse on the high school level when you were kids growing up in that era. But 60 Minutes was another. It was a must. I mean, you were in front of the TV at 7 o'clock every Sunday night to watch a little 60 Minutes. I guess, I don't know, was Bonanza also must-see television back then? Lauren Green and the crew? Michael Hanneman, did he have the best hair in television history? Is that possible? Can you give that award to Michael Landon? Do you remember him from Little House on the Prairie?
Well, he also,
I mean, big ass hair, man. This guy was unbelievable.
The greatest hair.
But it was perfect. And I met him in person one night when he was hanging out at Hollywood Park at the harness track when Hollywood Park was, in operation, and they ran harness racing at night in the summertime. And there was Michael Landon with Gene Hackman. And I'm not sure, if, there were other superstars on hand there. I don't think Haas was there. You would have recognized him from the hat, right? Did that guy wear that hat all the time? I'm not sure. Anyway, getting back to the games. What do you think? Tonight, we have tonight's tonight. Lubie, we should have more excitement about tonight, should we not? Emboldened by what happened with the Miami Heat last night. What we felt all along, and we could be dead wrong again, and this is the beauty of doing this kind of work and being in the sports prediction game. What's easier to predict, Lubie? Is there anything, that is more horrendous than the record of most sportscasters in terms of predictions, Mr. Barkley Breath? Because, I thought the Stanley Cup was going to be far and away the easier trophy to bring back than the Larry O'Brien. I don't know that did they awaken a sleeping giant last night, or did they just, reinvigorate themselves to the point where all of a sudden, I mean, that was a phenomenal shooting performance by the Miami Heat. And you might be right, Lubie. I don't know that anybody has pointed this out except you. All these multi-million-dollar-a-year analysts, they can't see that, the sag-in defense.
It's the stupidest defense I've ever seen in my entire life.
What is that?
I still want the Heat to be more aggressive and go at it.
That's worse than the Red Sea. It is.
It is. No, it is the Red Sea. It's the Red Sea, but the Red Sea we think wasn't on purpose.
It's the Red Sea at low tide, my friend. It just is.
Like Sperano yelled, Red Sea. And then
Red Sea. And everybody just parts. And here comes Tim Tebow up the middle, a guy whose career is about to be over.
Yeah, he was done.
Over.
Defense, yeah. But
oh, my God.
We have yet to get confirmed that he actually ever yelled that. Malone,
I believe he did. I have that.
On good authority.
Yeah. Stu, told me.
He would yell Red Sea.
Yeah. He came over to me. He said, you know what he called her? Red Sea. Well, security guy, Stu. He's a great guy.
I know. For the Nuggets, it is their defense. They call it drop, so it sounds like it's a better defense. I've never seen any more of a cocked defense in my entire like. You're literally just
who invented this defense?
You're going to challenge shooters. I don't give a shit if they were drafted or not, but they're in the NBA. They're shooters to just all right, go.
Think about it. A team is hoisting 53s a game. And you're going to allow them to shoot those 53s relatively uncontested? You have to be crazy.
My thing is, like, Jokic is in the back, and he never leaves. So I don't understand how they don't get one illegal defense. And the defenders on the perimeter are all bad defenders. So you actually still don't have to take.
Boy, are they late to get through screens and stuff like that? I mean, how many times, even guys that you figure are going to be tough, like this Michael Porter looks like a tough guy, doesn't he? He looks like the last guy, if you were playing at the park, that you would want to defend you with that face. And he's always serious. And yet, how badly is he trailing these guys that are curling off picks and ending up wide open? And then you look like an hour later, oh, yeah, there's Porter. And the same thing with Gordon. I mean, they look like the last guys on earth you would want to go and have defend you. And they just don't stick to shooters, and they give up really easily. That second pass always leaves a guy wide open for the
Look,
Miami Heat.
I know Malone was frustrated in this game, but wasn't in the other game. And I said it. I wasn't saying, again, I made it clear.
You being right. I mean, when the rest of the world, the rest of the basketball world in Serbia right now, the analysts are saying stuff, that just doesn't have any logic to it, where you said, hey, if you're not going to cover these guys, you're going to make shots.
I mean, they're eventually going to score.
Yeah.
They're NBA shooters. You can be the crappiest shooter ever. If you're just going to leave guys open game after game after game, they're going to go, okay. Now, if you're the Heat, to me, I would still attack, which they did a little bit more. But I would do more. I would go right at Jokic.
How is this happening, though, Lubie? I mean, when you really look at it, shouldn't the Heat be getting creamed? Yeah. They should have been done like a month ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this team is it's the weirdest fucking story ever. Butler hasn't played really well since the first round. That's what's weird.
He was so sensational, maybe into round 2 a little bit against the Knicks. Then he suffered that ankle injury, right?
Yep.
And he hasn't been that dynamic. They're not going for the up fakes anymore, and he's not getting a call when he crashes into guys. So that's held him down in terms and limited his point production, but he's still been effective, when he had to be, and surprisingly decent from 3-point range.
Yeah.
When he hoisted a 3-pointer, didn't you cringe? It was like when Bobrovsky came into the game for the Panthers in that series against the Bruins, and you go, oh my God, are we dead? Dead meat does not even give you an accurate description of how little chance I was giving the team, when Bobrovsky came in, and the same thing, where, you're looking at the Miami Heat and appear to be out of it, right? 8 points down going to the fourth quarter after shooting the ball pretty much lights out the entire game. Ringing death, playing into a 32-1 record that was held by the Denver Nuggets. Advantage going into the fourth quarter and number of victories, 32-1, Lubie. I mean, NBA teams cough up leads. I mean, it happens. And yet, and he nearly did it last night. That would have been something, huh? What if that game goes to overtime? What heartbreak.
They get ran out.
Oh, my God.
I guess, and I didn't realize this. Someone said it after. They had done the zone, which I can't stand, but it was working. And then they went to man at the end to close it out. And that's when they started, which is weird. You would think the zone would give wide open threes. The man to man wouldn't. But when they switched to man at the end, after playing zone, that's when they gave up was it 4 wide open threes?
Yeah.
3 out of 4.
I think they hit at least 2 in a row.
They hit 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Possessions were wide, and they hadn't gotten wide open threes the entire game. And I was like, "Not doing this, guys." Come on.
Well, Murray made one from the Coke machine there. I mean, I know it was uncontested, but nobody would have contested that shot. That was Maravich-esque. It was. I mean, when you come over the midcourt stripe and just shoot the ball. I mean, he was kind of stationary, so he had time to line it up. But wouldn't you give a guy a 40-footer all day long? I don't care. Even if it's Steph Curry, I'm saying, go ahead, Steph, shoot it.
No, I'm not. That's his shot. It's like a freaking...
Yeah. Trae Young, certainly I'm encouraging him. Go ahead. You with the funny hair. Go ahead and shoot that, Trae. Shoot that line drive brick that we can, get the rebound at the free throw line and just hoist one down the court. Good stuff, though, all the way around. I thought we were going to be talking about a tale of 3 losses here. I know the Heat game 1 was Thursday night. We had a chance to discuss that on Friday, but, it looked like a lost weekend for the South Florida teams. And, we were going to have to go ahead and satisfy ourselves with the whole notion that, well, we shouldn't have been there to begin with. What a run. But it has been very exciting. But we haven't had this feeling here since 1969, Lubie. Well, no, I mean, that was, a reference to a song. But, when was the last time? I don't know that we ever have.
No,
had this much continuous and sustained buzz during the course of a sporting campaign.
Well, we never, because like you said, these two teams have never played this well together. Plus, it's in the past, it's been different. Like when you're the favorite, who was it? Scoop said, like when you're the favorite and you win, at least for me, it was more relief than joy. It was like, he was supposed
if they didn't win titles with LeBron, it would have been disgusting. Yeah,
exactly. So this is different because it's like, how are they doing it? It's like, how the
No, I mean, this is a ragtag unit here. I mean, any of these guys, you could probably have offered up to every team in the league. I'm sure they did with Kyle Lowry. You don't think Pat Riley was, his biggest stress, the reason that he looks like he's, aging rapidly, it's probably all those phone calls he made to general managers around the league and said, you know who this is, right? This is Pat Riley. You know what I have for you? Kyle Lowry.
You can keep him.
You want Dedman? You got to take Rowley. Lowry. They couldn't give this guy away. Couldn't give him away. All of a sudden, he comes into the ball game, bink, like he was Earl of Pearl Monroe, squaring up just the left shoulder. Hits a 3-point shot like it was nothing. And you can see these shots are going in from the time of their release.
Yes. You're confident about it, which
My
2 months
God,
ago wouldn't have been.
no. I would have been. It would have the same thing we were just talking about. You would have been begging Lowry to shoot. Come on, Kyle. You were good with Toronto.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even need to guard a guy. You could just do it by verbal intimidation. Come on, Kyle. You're a shell of yourself.
The defense and go.
Gordon would just hang out under the basket and scream at Lowry, "Miss it, your mother!" And he would miss it. But now they're going in. Duncan Robinson. I mean, these are great stories. They're literally giving up for dead. Riley was probably on the phone all day long. I know I gave him $90 million. What are you going to bust my balls about that all day, Joe? You want him or not? We'll pay half his salary. Just get him out of here. Now he's a crucial element there. Comes in Reggie Miller-esque. Driving to the hoop. When does this guy make a layup? He's never made a layup in his life. Not even in Division III.
It's crazy.
When he was with the Chattanooga Schminks or whatever he was. I don't know. Well, where did he play? What was his college? The college that he went to?
Well, he eventually played at Michigan.
Yeah, I know that. But, I mean, he was at some place.
I know, some D3. I don't know.
The Holy Ghost of St. Mary's, whatever, out of Chicago. I don't know. Where was he from? He went to some obscure school that only Jim Sarney has probably seen in action. And, Riley on the phone all day long, right? Just like with Dedman, just like with Lowry. He was with Duncan Robinson. We have Robinson. He was quite a 3-point shooter at one time. And I go, Pat, you just don't have it anymore. You're not going to convince us to give up Shaq. Even though he wants out of here. Strangest group of stories I've ever seen. If you were a writer, I mean, you would be salivating every day, to sit in front of a typewriter. Just like, we're happy to talk about it. I don't even know that you can cover all of this ground in a week's worth of 2-hour shows. All of the bizarre stuff. And then Spoelstra, I mean, talking like, Zarathustra. I mean, just he's up there, and it's biblical, when you see him at the podium. They can't even cut away from it on ESPN because it's Spoelstra. And even though he says something and you're going, what the fuck did he just say?
What did he really say?
Yeah. What was he talking about? Humanity?
When he's saying it, you're like, oh, wow, this is impressive. And then you try to tell someone else and you're like,
The questions, I mean, are very similar to what you get on like The Bachelorette, are they not, from the press? When they go into all of this philosophical bullshit. I mean, the truth is, he who makes shot win game.
That's it. Yep.
They're asking Jimmy Butler all of this, baloney about the Heat culture and this and that, and can you count on this guy? And bottom line was, he kept saying, we made some shots tonight.
Yes, that's really.
And you think, well, who's the boring one here? Is it the questions or the answer? The answer is the same every time. It's sports. It's not that complicated, Stephen A. Give us a break.
Yeah.
Please. Did ESPN ruin sports viewing for everybody while providing us with just an enormous platform to enjoy, watching people compete at a very high level?
Yeah.
Including like a zillion college baseball games that they had on there. I can't, what stage are they at, man? When did they get to Omaha?
I thought they're still not in Omaha. I thought
they got like 40 teams playing, man. Oh, I will say this: some of the defensive plays that you see that make it onto the top 10 plays on SportsCenter out of the college baseball ranks are incredible. They weren't playing that kind of ball when I was there at the Cuse there for the buzzard Andy Mogish. That's for sure. We had a couple of guys that were good. But the rest of us, it was pretty much a ragtag unit there. I mean, you weren't even sure if a guy was going to catch a routine fly ball. I still remember some of this shit. What a disaster, huh? I mean, try playing baseball in like 28-degree weather, Lubie.
Can't even.
I made a point. I always hit the first guy when I came in to pitch in any game, whether it was practice or anything. Yeah. Right in their rib cage, man.
Oh, that cold ball.
And it wouldn't matter. I mean, even if you have like no velocity, I mean, it just like, it was like getting hit with a shot put. But yeah, I mean, the defensive plays that you see on college baseball, all across the board. I mean, there are like 40 teams involved in this thing, are they not? I don't know. Are they at the Super Regional yet? Where are the Canes? Are we going to go to Omaha? Come on, Lubie. We have no information on this. All right, a couple of other things, and then we'll get into some more on the Cats and their game tonight against Las Vegas. I'm not sure what kind of in-depth analysis. Oh, good. Brett Tesser going to be around. Well, we'll talk to Brett Tesser. In fact, we'll do that in just a moment here on the show. I was going to get into a couple of these things. This golf story is good. Rose Zhang. Remember that name, Louis? Rose Zhang. Kid out of Stanford who won the NCAA individual title, I think the last 2 years, goes into her first pro event and wins in a playoff. Not done since Beverly Hansen in 1951 has that happened, 72 years ago. And Victor Hovland at the Memorial in a playoff. This poor guy, McCarthy, he was in tears after they asked him how he felt. And he said, I feel like breaking down and crying. No, he was. I respect the emotion that he had. I mean, unfortunately, bogeyed 18 twice. And, once in the, regulation and then in the playoff. And that was it. Bingo, man. Had a horrible eye off his drive, man. Shanked it way out to the right. So Hovland came up a winner. He's been hot. Victor Hovland, Louis. I think the professor, I thought he had him in the last major tournament there. What was that, the PGA? Yeah. But he didn't. So he was very lucky that he choked on that 16th hole. And what was that, 15? And then Koepka ended up winning a tournament at 20-1. Marlins with a sweep and good action. French Open already underway today. It's been dynamite. Really, really a great tournament. All right, coming back with Brett Tesser, the agent to the stars, in a moment here on the Defo Show. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:45. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Of this job, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field, the way we are meant to protect them in health and in injury. Less, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves in the games too.
The agent to the stars, the one and only Brett Tesser.
All right, this is good. Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, one Mike Lubie Lubitz here on South Florida Live. Normally around this time of the year, we're kind of scratching our heads a little bit and saying, can we ask Brett Tesser, the agent of the stars, about the importance of OTAs to undrafted free agents? And, we were trying to have a reasonable discussion on that, which there's some merit to it, obviously. But now he's our hockey correspondent because of his love, affinity, and affection for the NHL, playoff hockey, and the Florida Panthers. We welcome to the show the agent of the stars, Brett Tesser, also our own version of Don Cherry. Brett, how are you, my friend?
Hey, doing great, Steve. Thanks.
All right, what do you think? I mean, you've been our hockey guy now for quite some time and provided great insight into the Florida Panther team and organization. An improbable Cinderella ride that has now led them to the Stanley Cup final against Las Vegas. I thought, I don't know, I'm probably not a great judge of this, but I thought Vegas and Florida were very similar teams in their approach. and had similar results. Improbable, great goaltending coming from a source that you weren't necessarily expecting in the postseason, and a bunch of guys that really fly around and are very, very competitive. Maybe not the strongest defensively, but what do you think of Game 1? And where do you feel the Panthers stand in this series against Vegas after that one?
What I think is 9 days off
Yep.
between games, between winning the last series and playing the first game of this series, obviously the most important series of the franchise's history, is going to be detrimental. And it couldn't be more evident if it tried than it was in this last game. And so, the things you're most worried about are, what are the Panthers doing best? Number one, obviously you've got Bob, who, had been standing on his head the entire postseason prior to this last game, just playing at a level that we've never seen down here out of him in the however many years was he been here, 3-4 years, whatever it is.
4 years, yes.
And so, yeah. And so, you're seeing him look like the guy that you were hoping to see when you paid him $10 million a year. And so your biggest fear coming into this series is all that time off going to affect the way he's seeing the puck, just the zone that he's in. Then you're wondering, is it going to affect just the overall timing of just the team as a whole? Because, this is a team that dumps the puck into the corners. That's their offensive system. We're not a beautiful, graceful offense like a Vegas or some of the other teams like Toronto, teams that carry the puck up the ice. This is the team that relies on timing, toughness, going into the corners, digging them out. And so, that much time off is going to be incredibly, incredibly detrimental to the timing. It was proven how it affected Bob, because he definitely looked very ordinary the other night. So the biggest thing is tonight, are they able to get it back? Or has all that time off and, finally meeting the wrong opponent at the wrong time, is it finally going to catch up to them? So needless to say, tonight is a huge, huge game. And this team needs players like Carter Verhaeghe and some of the other guys who may have had splashy statistics throughout the season, but maybe weren't necessarily the most consistent guys, or aren't necessarily the kind of guys that offer a whole lot else aside from scoring, like a Carter Verhaeghe. I mean, guys like Kachuk are incredibly rare. Guys who can score, guys who can pass, guys who can rough it up, guys who can defend, guys that'll hit. In the case of Verhaeghe, here's a guy who kind of does one thing and one thing only, and that's score goals. And so if that's his job and that's his only job and that's all he does, for our sake, we better hope he does it. Because, again, this game coming up here, you saw what the Heat was able to do last night. Incredible, improbable victory on the road against a team that nobody gave them a chance against. Now, the Heat comes home and they're holding serve. So, if the Panthers can do the same thing tonight, all is well within the universe. But if we come out tonight and look like we did on Saturday night, I hate to say it, this series could be as short as the last time they were in the finals 30-some years ago, or 30 years ago, 25, whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, entirely possible. But I wasn't overwhelmingly discouraged. You mentioned Verhaeghe. I don't remember him even being in a game, so he was a non-factor. We saw a couple of, on that Marchessault goal, the problems that you have with the Panthers defensively is two guys go behind the net, and they let this guy just slide in there in front of the net as the Golden Knights, dug the puck out and pushed it right to Marchessault, and he scores, and that tied up the game. So you did see some of those lapses, but I mean, you can't discount a team that somehow, and it's weird, Brent, because it's such cliche, but they had mastered the technique of finding a way to win. And we're one of those teams that would just hang in there, and you would think, how are they doing this? And then next thing you know, boom, they're on top. So should be interesting tonight. I would imagine you're looking forward, regardless of tonight's result, to what would it be? Would it be Thursday for Game 3 at home?
Yeah, Thursday at home. Obviously, something our family is looking very forward to, because we've kind of been suffering along with this team for the last 7 years, which
Yeah.
isn't bad when you consider some of the fans that have been suffering along for 20, 25 years of historic futility. So, it's one of those things where it's just totally improbable, dream come true scenario. My son, he's a little spoiled. He's had a chance to be at a Super Bowl, Stanley Cup final already, NBA championship, and World Series. So, he's been to them all. But our daughter, my wife, neither one of them have been to a Stanley Cup. So it'll be great for us, the four of us, to be there together. But again, Deep, it's just this team figured out a way to keep Toronto off balance. We kind of figured, we kind of caught Boston, I think, with their guard down. It's sort of like in tennis when you're up 5-0 in a set. Yeah. And essentially, you just start messing around. You just kind of get lazy. You get off your rhythm, and once the momentum turns, it's very hard to get it back. And so there might have been some of that in the first series. The Ottawa series, I couldn't believe my eyes. The way that Carolina series.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe the way we were able to really just handle them. Very good team. But Vegas is a great team, and they've been a great team pretty much since they've been in existence. And so, you just hope this isn't kind of a better version of us, because no matter what style we tried to play with them, they were able to answer and play that same style back, whether it was be physical or whatever. And a lot of people say, well, we hit the post a few times and, we could have had a couple or a few more goals. Well, the truth is Vegas hit the post a couple times too. They easily could have had another 2 or 3 goals themselves. So whatever it was, tonight is going to be the most important game the Florida Panthers organization's ever played. You win the game tonight, we're back on track. Confidence is back. Hopefully they do a little better job of helping Bob out. But again, if you lose the game tonight and you lose it in the fashion that we lost the last one, where pretty much, they frustrated us every which way imaginable, it's just going to be tough, because then you come home and you have to win 2 games. And again, this is not an easy team to be in that position against.
All right. Mike McDaniel, the key. If he's on hand for game 3, I think the Panthers are, going to be, very, very prominent and back alive in the series there. I like the interaction between the sporting teams here in South Florida. It's been a really good time. I know you got to run, Brett Tessler, agent to the Stars. It's quiet around the NFL front right now, but let's hope for the best here tonight. Going to be a lot of fun watching that game. First 2 periods, when they got that Duclair goal off the faceoff, I thought, well, here we go again. And, they're going to grind out a victory somehow and steal this one on the road. But let's hope they can rebound from a flat third period and play a good one tonight. Thanks as always, my friend. What are you, signing a player? What's going on? I know you got to run.
No, not signing anybody. Just have things to do. Going to be leaving town a little bit. And also just need to wish a happy birthday to my son, Brandon.
All right.
Going to be 14. Yeah, going to be 14 on Thursday. So that makes game 1 at home even more special. Great way for our family to celebrate him. And again, hopefully he'll get the present of the Panthers pulling out a win, which can hopefully put them up 2-1 in the series, as long as they take care of what they need to do tonight.
All right, and I hope you catch a puck for him. One just goes, gently over the glass there and drops into the box where you are, and you wave it, please, and mention the show, will you, when you get on camera? Because we need the publicity, and I'm still looking, to make sure I can spot you. You're going to have to wear that Defo, have the whole family with the DEFO. Because I really want to spot you in the corner there. I can't tell you how hard I'm looking at the screen to see if I can recognize you at these games. All right. Thanks so much, Brent, for being with us. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, Tessler.
All right. Thanks. I'm looking for Tessler on TV there, because I know where he would be. Although you have to kind of juxtapose everything, because it's at the diametrically opposed corner to what it looks like it should be on TV, Louis. If that makes any sense. But I have not been able to distinctly identify, it's a very fuzzy, grainy 7-Eleven surveillance camera of the guy that ran out with a bunch of Clark bars, right? Because you can't, if anybody has any information about this person, you're like, what person? Well, I don't see nothing. I haven't been able to identify him in the crowd yet at a game. All right, a lot of fun, and it should be again tonight. The Heat triumphant yesterday. I think that sort of came out of nowhere for a lot of people, except for Mike Lubitz, the only one. Everybody else was ye of little faith on this.
I mean, I was annoyed when they went from up 11 to down 15, but the fact that Vincent hit a 3 instantly, it felt like some of those games we've seen earlier, where as long as they hang around, the Nuggets aren't used to this. The Nuggets are used to eventually just methodically blowing team out, and the Heat never left. Like, you can see them get, like, Jokic was, I'm like, dude, it went off you. You're a big clod. Like, you're really surprised that you knock a ball out of bounds? I'm like, are you really feeding into this crap? Like, you're an offensive.
Doesn't he look like somebody, like you're watching a film of a guy in like physical rehabilitation that maybe had been partially paralyzed? It really does, where every step is a struggle.
He's extremely
you're thinking, my God, look at that guy. I only hope I have the courage and the guts to, pursue my life in this fashion.
I'm sorry. Like, it's so weird because he's the best player in the game. I'm not saying he's not. He may be one of the greatest big men ever already, and he's like in his mid-20s. I'm not even I'm the one that's been talking about him all playoffs. But when you get to watch him for entire games, you're like they're down the floor and he's still at the free, like watch him run down.
He lumbers, man. I mean, and he does it while dribbling the basketball up court. And nobody challenges that. Wouldn't you send 5 kamikazes diving for the ball? Knowing that, anybody could steal the ball from this guy. I could. Andy could. You could. Unbelievable. Bonnie could steal the ball from Jokic while he's dribbling up court.
He hits any shot. He puts
Sarny, could swipe it away.
His vision and his timing on his passing is impeccable. His rebounding is strong, but to watch him move, I've never seen it.
Should we trademark that? Mayo could probably stop him on his way up the court. Mayo probably a tenacious defender there, I guess. Should we trademark that? Quasimodo and Converse All-Stars?
Yeah,
because he does. He's lumbering like he's about to, go ahead, Quasi, ring the fucking bell.
Well, Lamont, I said he's super unathletic for a guy that's as skilled as he is, and Lamont's like he's got to be a little athletic to be that. I'm like, no, that's not true. We're figuring out you can be both unathletic and great. I did not know that in basketball. There's a puppy. I did not know that.
Wait a minute. When did you get a dog, Lubie? Like during the break?
Yeah, exactly. My wife's friend bought a dog, but it can't travel state lines until it has its shots. So
really?
We're watching it. I don't know.
Who made that law? DeSantis?
I don't know. It's always something new with my wife. It's pretty impressive, the things that get thrown at me on a daily basis.
So you now have a dog and she's out of town? Is that how this works?
She's here. She's been taking care of it. It's a sweet puppy. It's only 2 months old. It's nice.
2 months. Does it know what's going on yet? Or,
it's
are you finding? No wonder you were a little late getting on the air today. Did you slide into some
No, there's no
unfavorable substance there as you were, especially barefoot. That sucks,
This trainer randomly likes me, even though I can't stand animals. They seem to like me for some freaking reason.
Everybody likes you, Lubie. You're a likable guy. Even when you're at your grouchiest worst, which I don't think everybody sees it. No, people do. You're still likable for some reason.
It's just funny. Like, it's not a hating on you. Again, I'm the one that's defended the Jokic and Nuggets the entire playoffs. But to watch him really is a marvel. Like, I've never, he is a clod. Like, Greg Ostertag didn't move any worse than when you watch Jokic try to get down the floor and play defense. But on offense, it's like magic. It's the weirdest fucking combination they've ever seen.
He makes Alan Ogg look graceful.
It's so weird.
And those shots, how do they all go in? It is pretty incredible. His array of shots that look equally awkward, and one more awkward than the next, I guess. If they're not equally awkward, but the shot from behind his head as he's falling backwards and looking like he's going to fall down. It looks like they should put the 3 knockdown rule into effect. And then, as we said, the elbows are flying with this guy.
The elbow thing is funny to me. And he's never committed a foul. And I'm like, dude, you are you have to know you're unathletic. Like, yes, on offense it works, but you have to know that you're a fucking clod. You would presume that you'd be that big of a clod, that physical, and never commit foul. He's never committed a foul. Him and LeBron never committed a foul. It's like, dude, you just tackled the guy.
What was it, Jimmy Superfly Snuka that had the flying elbows off the top rope?
Maybe. I mean, a lot of guys did that.
he literally has thrown more than snooker in his
Right.
entire career. Even when he was wrestling out of the deep south there during a an unfortunate period of failure in his wrestling career.
Wasn't the Rock's move? Someone's move was the people's elbow.
Oh yeah, The Rock had the flying
I think the
atomic
people's
elbow. That,
he would do this, and then he would
Yeah.
like elbow. And I was like, "Is The Rock playing basketball now?" I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" Like he just
Dusty Rhodes had an atomic elbow also. Dusty Rhodes. That was one of his few moves, even though we were led to believe that he was actually the American dream. I mean, imagine aspiring to be a fat guy with cellulite. I keep coming back to that because you're thinking, geez, was I a failure in my lifetime? Did I have any measure of success? I guess I got to do a lot of the things that I really wanted to do. Many things, unfortunately, maybe due to a penchant to procrastinate and waste a lot of time, I never got to. And, as you start approaching these higher numbers, I got a thing in the mail the other day. It was the first one that kind of made me laugh a little bit about the situation I'm in terms of numbers of years I've been on the planet. And it was like a thing that was addressed, and you could see through the envelope that it was trying to entice you to join something that was designed for the elderly, Lubie. The elderly. I haven't considered myself in that category yet. I don't know. When you look at me, Lubie, do you think it's great that the elderly are still able to function?
You're more active than I am. You do way more. I mean, maybe you've slowed down a little bit recently. You actually don't mind staying home when you used to go out every fucking night.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I mean, you're not like some old man. It's funny. I give you credit. You're in your 70s, and it's like you don't skip a fucking beat.
The elderly, though, Louis, but it is elderly. That's the thing. You can't really dispute it, can you? At approaching 72, it's like a month away. I have 1 month left to perfect myself, Louis, and do all of the things that I've been telling myself I was going to do since what? Since birth. It's too late, baby. It's too late. Well, we thought we would be writing an epitaph today. This was going to be the obituary column here on the show. And we're very happy to report that we're alive. I don't know that this has been one of the more fascinating periods of time here in South Florida sports because you just keep going from game to game.
Well, Tesla was impressing me, but I'm like, I think Tesla felt like they'd never lose. Like they're gonna lose games. like they didn't get blown out. They were in the game. I mean, with 8 minutes left, they were
right
down
there. Could have gone either way, no question.
And that was they were a step slow. They were a little off, and they still were on the road. A goal down with 8 minutes left, and they were getting no help from the refs. I mean, so like
you know what? I wouldn't say that. Because I know you hate it whenever they call a penalty on the
Did they
Panthers.
get any power plays?
They had power plays, and the power plays. I mean, my man Ramko Gudis literally annihilates a guy. I mean, tackles him in front of the net, and no penalty is called. Okay, he body slammed this guy. It looked like San Martino back in the day with the airplane spin, picks him up, fires him like it was Bill Lambert grabbing Larry Bird, and there's no call. And then the power plays that the Panthers got were like on kind of questionable hooking calls and things like that. Tripping, where, I mean, okay, so the guy's got to stick out there. Where's he supposed to put the stick? Up his ass? I mean, come on. It's on the ice. This guy skates right over it. There you go, tripping. 2 minutes. So I didn't feel like the Panthers were getting jobbed in that respect. I mean, they were getting outworked there in the third period very badly, I thought. And they still almost came up with it. So I'm not as, underwhelmed by their performance as Tester was.
He was like defeated. I'm like,
he did sound kind of down, didn't he?
You're getting greedy. Like they're not going to win every game. Like this is the Stanley Cup final,
right? I mean, they had won like 100 in a row.
The Knights are the experienced team here. Remember, the Knights have been to a Stanley Cup final and they seem to win every freaking year. This team's new to this, so they're going to lose a game. Like I wasn't shocked at that at all. I was like, all right, it makes sense.
I like that they're beating the shit out of each other inside the first minute. Why do they hate each other already? I mean, based on what?
They want the
hockey player. That is a whole different team sport. You never see any team sport like that, do you? Where, I mean, and they're laughing about it. You know, a guy hits a guy in the face with a stick, and he looks back at him like he was Aaron Pryor in the Arguello fight. And, says, never forget that, man. Alexis, may he rest in peace, man. I mean, a tragic death down there in his native Nicaragua. And I remember, we were kind of friendly with Alexis Arguello, and he lived here in South Florida. And what was very amenable to doing any interview on any show. He wasn't the most, I mean, he spoke fluent enough English to be understood, but it wasn't like, Lubie, hey, we got to go out of our way to get this guy because it's going to make like great radio. But it was Alexis Arguello. It was boxing royalty. It was South Florida royalty, Nicaraguan royalty. Did we have a big Nicaraguan contingent down here? No, but I remember him telling me, more than once that he couldn't believe it, man. That was, I think it was like round 12 or 13 of this classic fight. I mean, it was just an epic war. And, Pryor was dominating. And Alexis finally hits him with a sledgehammer. Literally, Lubie, right on the button. Sledgehammer. And this was after, the famous incident there in the corner with Panama Lewis about, no, I want the Bud Light mixture. The one with steroids in it. The one that makes you have an iron cast chin. What chemist was involved in that one, man? As, and Arguello said he couldn't believe it, because guys, sometimes they get hit with a shot and they smile back, and you know that, well, he's smiling back, but he's going to be on the floor pretty soon. And he said that Pryor just laughed after getting hit with this. I mean, literally a bowling ball right on the chin. And he said that was it. I knew I was fucked.
Yeah, that was my best shot, and he's laughing. What the hell am I going to do?
I mean, like maybe the best shot of his career. I remember, I was there. I was like ringside. It was incredible. It was one of my first big sporting events I ever attended here in South Florida. It might have been, it still remains. I would think, people would push this aside because people are more oriented towards team sports and things of that nature. But, right up there in terms of magnitude. I mean, I'm sitting in front of Dustin Hoffman, like Denzel in American Gangster, right? And the cop, says, how'd they get seats like that? Who is this guy with the fur hat? But it was great. And, he just laughed, absolutely shook it off. And, that was great. And that's what these hockey guys do. I mean, they're fighting within 3 minutes of the. How come they hate each other? Well, there was no bad blood between these two teams, was there, Lubie? Marchessault and Riley Smith, they're long over being in the Panther organization. Can you imagine what it's like to be a hockey star in Las Vegas? Think about this, Lubie. The chicks alone would be enough reason to make you easily forget, that at one time you were part of what was at the, at that period, a very pathetic and lame Panther organization. But here we are on the precipice possibly of greatness and a Stanley Cup. So I was not as depressed by that game as Brett Tesser was. We don't mean to, kind of rain on everybody's parade here because there still could be one. So we'll see what happens tonight. Should be a lot of fun. All right, we're coming back in a moment. We'll have more for you here on the show. A couple of other things. Watching a little French Open action. It's been sensational. I mean, you talk about a red clay bloodbath. That's what the French Open has been. Last night, I guess it was, yesterday in the afternoon, Sabalenka and Sloane Stephens, who, kind of dropped off the, tennis map, had she not, Sloane Stephens, and seemed to be playing with, I don't know if body language was any indicator, Lubie. Seemed to be playing without a great deal of belief that, she really wanted to do this anymore. And then she rebounded a little bit and found herself in there against Sabalenka yesterday. Goes down 5-love in the first set. 5-love. I mean, it's getting wiped off the floor. And came back and took it to a tiebreaker, but ended up losing in straight sets. So some pretty interesting action all the way around. A lot of 5-setters with the men. And, just playing sensationally. The number one seed, Alcaraz, Carlos Alcaraz, who, is this amazing 19-year-old Spaniard who's already got a slam to his credit. He's got the toughest draw I've ever seen for a number one seed. Did they rig this tournament so the Joker wins? Because, Joker's playing a bunch of qualifiers and schmenks all the way into the semifinals. And Alcaraz is having to beat like these killers, including he goes against the good Greek Tsitsipas in the next round after, he just had to beat like another monster. That guy Musetti from Italy, who's a hot young player also, who had wins over Alcaraz already on the clay. So how did that happen? It isn't because there have been a lot of upsets so much. It's just they rigged it so Joker, the number 3 seed, I think ends up in the finals. Or I don't know. I guess even in the semifinal, you have Alcaraz playing another monster potentially. So very, very interesting stuff there going on there. And the Marlins with a sweep of the A's. We'll get into that a little bit. I don't know that there's I mean, could you be any more OOP, as they say in dog racing, than the Marlins are while having a great season by their standards? Which, think about the barometer here. How low is it that at 32 and 28, we're thinking, whoa, this is really something?
It's like their fourth best start in their first 60 games in franchise history. I mean,
but it is really something. It's amazing.
Good or bad, that's the truth. Like they usually start badly. That's what we always say is like.
I had Blutarski, expectations. Yeah. Usually mathematically eliminated before the All-Star break, which in baseball they play around the midway point of the season.
Yes, they do. But
they don't wait till the postseason and then have an All-Star game.
They usually wake up in June or July, but they'll be so bad in April and May that it won't matter. If they're hovering around, Mish always says this to us, like if they can be hovering around 500 after May, they'll be in good shape, and they're now over 500, which is pretty cool.
And winning like on a regular basis, you expect them to post a win. The A's looking for the all-time record for futility here, and seem well on their way into accomplishing that. They are horrendous, a little league team, and yet in spite of that, we saw Sandy Alcantara get racked for 5 runs, right, in the third inning. He didn't end up sustaining loss because they won the game 7-5. But and it's Louis Arise is a joy to watch as a hitter. He really is. Mr. Line Drive, that's all he wants to do. He just smacks that ball. He's fantastic. Hitting almost 400 for the season. And what? This is a reasonable juncture. I don't know. When do you start thinking about that? Or do you ever start thinking about that?
Well, he's in 370s. I mean, I don't know.
No, I think he's like 390 something now. He's gone way up there. He was down around 370, and he's been on hot. Just always a crisp line drive off of his bat.
He's up to 392 again? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He was at 375 last week, and I was like, I guess 400 stuff's done. I mean, that's so impressive. Of 2 months
400 seems impossible in today's
now? What do you mean? Guys hit like ass. The Marlins have one of the better averages in baseball. This guy.
Even the dog is saying, hey, you were wrong about that. It's like, it's a miracle to see a guy hit 390 at this stage of the
weird.
season.
They're having guys hitting 270 now. So to have a guy hit 390 now is like a flashback. We're going back to old times.
Imagine it. I mean, they used to rip Clete Boyer for hitting 250 with 20 home runs and say, well, he's no Brooks Robinson. I mean, the guy had a glove that was just absolutely magic. Still, for my money, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this because I just am biased because I remember watching this guy in my youth. But Clete Boyer, I would put up against any defensive third baseman in the history of the major leagues.
Oh, yeah, you're not the only one.
Take that, Mike Schmidt.
Even I've heard of Clete Boyer.
Ken Caminiti.
Top 5 third baseman ever defensively.
Yeah. I mean, Brooks was great. I mean, Brooks was magic with the glove also. But Clete Boyer was every bit as good, I thought. Am I crazy in saying that? It's just that these other guys hit better.
No, they say Brooks Robinson. Scott Rowland for the Phillies was a tremendous third baseman.
Yeah, Ken Caminiti with the Padres, right?
He was a really good, but his was.
Oh, Greg Nettles also. I mean, you got to throw him in.
I've heard Nettles was up there, but then Boyer, they always throw him defensively. If you're just pure defensive third baseman, I mean,
would hit 250, and we thought he sucked.
No, he would be the.
He's batting 8th in the Yankees lineup there, where you could name it off still today. Imagine being able to remember a lineup from like 50 years ago, because guys didn't change teams like that, except they would come from Kansas City to the Yankees. Just tremendously lopsided deals as the Yanks used KC and Charlie Finley as their own personal farm system back then.
Yep.
Imagine who'd they trade? Like Joe DeMaestri for Roger Maris? Think about that. Where's DeMaestri in today's baseball history?
I've never heard that name.
Joe DeMaestri. I think he was part of that deal. I want to say yes to that. I'm going to go ahead and say that's true. All right, coming back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday, where we really were. I mean, we were writing an epitaph for the Miami Heat. I had written them off, and it was going to be Denver in 5. Now it still may be Denver in 5, but I don't think so now. Thinking more along the lines of, do we still, exist on the side of being non-believers, Lubie? Denver in 7? Do we amend our opinion?
I mean, I could see the Heat winning the series, but I would lean Denver 6 or 7.
Did they go on and just beat the shit out of Denver the rest of the way? Because Spoelstra, in a pure act of genius, has figured it out?
I wouldn't go that far. Denver's great. Denver's a really good team. The Heat are just not what these people want them to be. I know it's hard for them to fathom it, but they're a good team. They found their stride. I don't know what the hell the regular season was, but this is a very different team right now, and they're not going to get blown out. They're not going to get blown out.
Malone was pissed too. Malone, Mike
He's
Malone.
like, oh, the effort. It's like, it was the same game, Malone. You just, they hit shots.
Well, he went to the free throw line. Shot 20 balls.
They actually let them go to the line. Shocking that you would actually let the other team go to the free throw line too. And they hit the wide open. You're giving them wide open shots. This defense, this fakakta defense you're playing. Yeah. It's on you, Malone. Like, well, the effort. I'm so mad at the effort. What effort? They suck on defense. That's the defense they played. The entire Lakers series, that was the defense they were playing.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic does look like a drowning man, doesn't he? Just flailing along on defense.
He doesn't leave the middle. He stands in the middle the entire time. So
what do you mean you can't swim?
Like, they're literally leaving Bam wide open. Like, okay. Like, Bam should get 25 a game the way that they're defending him. I've never seen it.
They're playing him like he was Hawthorne Wingo.
Yeah, they're playing him like he's freaking one of these doofy centers. Like, no, the guy can shoot. It's like, okay, that's what you're going to do.
Who was the guy that we were teasing Ron Roasting about? Bayambo. Bismarck Bayambo or whatever, yeah.
And he sucked. He always killed the Heat.
And all of a sudden, this guy's making shots like he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All right, we're coming back with more. We've been trying to get to this for a while here. Coming back with more in a moment. On that,
the time.
It's 8:20.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. That could be another book that we put out. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. The end is near. You can tell the end is near, man. You could definitely do that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Now, welcome back to the show. Peel yourself off the mat Monday. We're peeling ourselves off a somewhat joyous mat after that. Turned out to be a little bit of a thrill in Manila as they went back and forth, traded big leads, double-digit leads. The Heat and the Denver Nuggets last night, 11 points. The Heat are up early, and you're watching that and saying, my God, well, what the hell happened here? Denver going to throw in a stinker? Are you kidding me? They don't do that. And they rally back. I mean, just to hammer the Heat for a large portion of the second quarter and end up 15 from down 11, a 26-point swing. And you would have thought that would have been enough, right? If the Heat were inclined at all to throw in the towel, this would have been a time as they were gasping for oxygen there, and nobody could do anything right. And remarkably, as has been typical throughout the postseason, even when they've looked like they're about to go ahead and take a dump, the Heat rally back. They get within 5 at halftime. They went back and forth in the third quarter, flirting with leads, narrow leads, and then eventually end up behind by 8 going into the fourth quarter. So at that point, if the Flowers weren't in a punch, certainly, Don Meredith was queuing up, the party's over. It really appeared to be the case. And you were thinking, okay, Can Miami, avoid, the embarrassment of getting swept here by winning one of two when they get back home? Already projecting way ahead of ourselves here. So instead, they come back and rally from the grave here and win the fourth quarter by 11 points and really just put a dagger right in the chest of the underplayers who appeared to be once again taking advantage of what was a very bogus number. I don't know if it got as high as 218, but imagine if it had. I mean, if you had this game at 218 and you disgustingly had to watch those Murray shots go in at the end of the ball game when essentially the 11-point gap seemed virtually insurmountable, did it not? The Heat take an 11-point lead with what, Lubie? Like 2 minutes to go in the game? 2:32, something like that?
They were up 12 with 3.5 left.
And insurmountable, my friend. Insurmountable. The way that game was trending, are you kidding me? Was it going to come down to a buzzer shot? And a poor one at that by Jamal Murray, who was fading backwards while Jimmy Butler was trying to lean into him. Well, what if they had called a foul there? That would have been something. I mean, I don't know. The contesting of that shot, you had to do something. I guess Butler played it kind of perfectly because he was never in jeopardy of fouling a guy.
Nope. He did the, I'm going to go by the side because that's what the offensive players are going to lean forward. So now what you'll see is guys fly to the side so they can't get that bullshit ass kick or whatever. That's supposed to be illegal, but it's never illegal.
Yeah.
No, it was
the Jean-Jean Pachula rule.
Yeah, it was like a tough, it was actually a tough three. I mean, he was open-ish, but it was leaning like.
No, that was tough. He was going to his left, knowing he had to force it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's not an easy shot for anybody to make. If it had gone in, it would have been semi-miraculous, more so than you're thinking, oh, my God, great play drawn up there by Mike Malone. Who, what did you think of the strategy there of not calling a timeout? 12 seconds to go, you get the ball. And, it had huge momentum. That's one thing to think about.
Yeah,
but limited options because you couldn't shoot the ball inside. So, I mean, even if, you always hear Hubie Brown go for this thing. And it's amazing to me that, you still got plenty of time. There's 2.6 seconds to go. Go ahead, get the quick two.
No,
like, what are you, crazy?
12 seconds, I mean.
It's a lunatic fringe type of thinking.
12
seconds ago, though, I mean, do you stop the action, set up a play, bring it in from half court? Or are you better off just running it up the court there and seeing what you can develop on the mad scramble? As the Heat had to be, a little bit on their heels at that point.
It was
they
after
had a chance to ice this game a zillion times.
Look, if it's off a make, maybe you call a timeout, I guess, because you're now down.
Pushes the ball, yeah. Okay.
And they can get back and play defense. When it's on a miss, if you notice, that's where the Heat struggle is when they're missing because they don't get back to set their defense. And that's what the Nuggets were doing. The problem is that he actually did get back that time, played really good defense, and Murray wasted 8 seconds before he even tried to get a shot off to where he was shooting an uncomfortable shot instead of a open.
It didn't even look like he was going to get something off. Good job there, by Jimmy Butler. That would be something that doesn't show up in the box score because he worked his way around a Jokic pick, which is not easy because, in addition to all the other stuff they let Jokic get away with, he is the master of the moving pick, is he not?
Yeah, he uses his hands.
Like if you were going to put a fundamentals tape about how to go ahead and commit a foul and be guilty of a moving pick, you would have Jokic do the demonstration like he was Red Auerbach with Red on Round Ball. And, that would be, natural, right? Because, I mean, he really looks like, one of those guys when they show the guards pulling in training camp. And they all pull out in perfect unison, even though that never happens in the regular season. All of a sudden, they look like the old Packers offensive line, and you're handing the ball off to Horning and Taylor. And in perfect sync, there goes Forrest Gregg and Fuzzy and all of the boys there, Jerry Kramer. And they just pull out in perfect symmetry. I mean, they used to do this for Zonka and Kick and Morris, didn't they?
Yeah.
That old Dolphin offensive line. When the Dolphins had an offensive line, a bunch of hungry grunts in there.
Yeah,
Kuchenberg in there blowing snot out of his nose as he, tries to guide the path for Zonka to run right up the middle and carry three guys on his back. But, he does do that, Jokic, and he looks like an offensive lineman out of the old guard NFL. He should just have a football helmet on anyway, shouldn't he?
I was going to say, he plays like he's playing football. And wow, it was amazing. I'm like, he took 4 steps. He pushed 3 guys out of the way.
He's Grunk. I mean, literally with sneakers on.
I'm like, it's fine. He is skilled, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. But he gets away with things I've never seen anybody
How much juice was Gronk on during his playing career if he looks the way he does today?
Oh, a lot. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, wasn't he twice the size that he is now?
Yeah, he's skinny now, and he was like jacked.
How does that happen, right? I mean, when the juice finally gets out of the system there, do you, is it like taking Ozempic?
Yeah, yes. It just falls right off. Like
Nice.
instantly. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because all of these guys are like skinny again, man. They all look like Felix Heredia, who was on the juice so that he could weigh like $140, soaking wet. Incredible. All right, we talked a little bit about the Marlins. We shouldn't ignore this story, should we? 32-28. This Skip Schumacher. We were not happy about the Mattingly firing. I don't know that Don Mattingly would be doing any worse with these guys, but the Schumacher guy, when you look at, I mean, if you're going to make a comparison here, and probably an unfair one, Mattingly, horrendous in one-run games, absolutely awful, Aaron Boone-esque, and Schumacher, brilliant in one-run games. And now the Marlins are doing things that, well, does it count if you're playing the A's? That's the question. I think did the A's have 13 wins this year? Think about that. We're like 60 games into the season. They either have 12 or 13 wins, the Oakland A's. The Greek mentioned this on Friday.
12, Jesus. They have 12 wins.
12 wins so far. Think about that. So they're 12 and like
49.
what, 48?
12 and 49. Oh, my God.
All right. So even if they were playing into hideous odds, if you were betting against the A's in every game,
yeah,
maybe at least as part of parlays, I mean, do you just take advantage of that? They've only fucked up your parlay 12 times all season in 61 games.
Yeah. I mean,
So, I mean, so you just take the gravy on that? Does that make up for the juice, the vig? I don't know what kind of odds the A's have been playing into. I mean, how heavy of an underdog can you be in a baseball game? 3-1? Is that like, the worst that it could be? I'm trying to see. I don't know if I doubt they play today, right? Oakland, if they're leaving Miami.
Baseball betting is confusing to me.
Baseball betting is insane. I'll be doing that, engaging in that in my trip to Atlantic City.
Today they play the Pirates. It's saying Pirates laying 190, minus 190.
That's all? Okay, well, the Pirates were good early in the year, and now we're not so hot.
Yeah, they've hit tough times.
All right. So what do we make of the Marlins team? Are we optimistic they'll do something? I was mentioning earlier, and we were talking about how they're projected to only win by whatever projection system CBS Sportsline is using for, you look at their baseball standings, and they have the Marlins winning like 76 and a half games on the season. This is not the over-under number from the beginning of the year, which was that higher than that? Were they supposed to win 75? Was it another drive for 75?
It was like 76 or 77, I think, or something like that.
So what is it? I mean, how heavy and overweight is the schedule in the second half if that's the projection for the Marlins and they already have 32 wins in 60 games?
Well, remember, this year they're playing their division less overall, but maybe...
Which may be a disadvantage at this point because the Mets stink.
Yeah, maybe it's happening more in
Philly's no good, and the Nationals are a gimme.
That's the funny thing is that actually might be good to play their division more.
Yes. The one year you would want to, I mean, of course. They changed the schedule because the Marlins are a cursed franchise. They operate under a curse that is so deep that even the most insightful members of the occult can't figure out what the hell the problem is, right?
It is funny that they're finally getting some runs. The bullpen's better. The rest of the rotation has picked up the slack, and now Alcantara can't hit the mitt.
No, wow, he is really blown up here. When does that happen? I mean, has that happened before where a Cy Young Award winner one year becomes just an absolute abortion the following season?
Not when they're young. Like you've seen like a Roger Clemens at 38, maybe at 39 struggle, but like not Alcantara's in his prime. He's in his mid-20s.
They just handed him $100 million.
And deservedly so. The guy was an automatic. Now it's like
he was great. Yeah. He may as well have been Koufax, right-handed version.
No, he was
that good, but no longer, and it's become a problem. Still, I don't know. It would be very, very difficult, especially in light of what's happening in basketball and hockey, to legitimately generate any kind of overwhelming enthusiasm for the Marlins right now. Would it not? No matter what they're doing, I guess the good thing is in the background here is a story lurking.
Yes.
Where, okay, I mean, eventually this euphoria we're experiencing, I mean, think about it. I was already, when I stepped in the shower today, thinking about my social calendar. And I was thinking, oh, geez, no game on Tuesday night. Maybe I should go out and do something.
Tuesday is the one day there's no game.
Now, I don't know that I'm inclined to watch these games with a bunch of, crazed bandwagon jumping Heat and Panther fans at a sports bar. I guess there's a certain, rise in what level of enthusiasm you could generate for it. But I actually prefer watching this stuff alone, right?
Look, look, and again, with our connections to landlubbers and shenanigans, I won't take any business away. I
No.
think it's a great atmosphere to watch a big game at a
The,
sports
the
bar.
Lumbers would be a good spot.
The problem is, and shenanigans is spectacular, but the problem
Shenanigans, great. Yeah, no doubt about it.
and that's great because they're both at two different sides of town, so we can support both equally, and we feel proud of that. The problem is, I'm a lunatic. Like, if you're just a fan and you're like, "Yay! Oh, they lost, darn it!"
Yeah.
That's
Oh
great.
no, you would be. I thought you would
so-
refine yourself a little bit, like you have with your eating, but
I know I'm bad.
but you're
Sports
you're
fan?
still the way you were when you. I remember people didn't know what to make of it. They were thinking about having you baker acted.
Yeah, I'm bad.
You were standing on a table at Landlubbers, and there weren't that many people there. We were getting ready to do a show that went on the air at like 6:00 in the evening, and the Heat were playing an inconsequential game against
It was
some
a Bob-
nondescript opponent.
It was a Bobcats, like the second game of an 82 game season.
Yes,
Fourth season. Yeah.
and they were down 1-0.
It was early. Yep.
And you were screaming, like you were saying, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore," pointing a finger at the screen. And I remember you screaming distinctly, "There it is! They're mailing it in! They're mailing it in! Typical Heat!"
That was exactly what he did.
And people are looking, going, "Is he with you?" So, that's the producer and co-host of this program.
I'm not as bad as that these days, but I sit nervous.
And we were talking to high school kids with a psychotic person.
So,
Well,
yes,
little Johnny, I mean, you're going to be a wide receiver on the St. Thomas team. Quite a big pair of shoes to fill. The last 10 guys that went there were number 1 draft picks out of high school in the NFL. And, and here's this psychotic person we're subjecting this young kid to that still, is more concerned about the zits on his face than the college scholarship that awaits. Incredible. No, you're still the same way.
I'm not to that exact level. Like,
You
I'm not
can't be in public then, Lubie.
at the beginning of a game. I'm not screaming, but I choose to watch games alone. I'm not, or with my parents because they're just as.
It's advisable
Yeah.
that you would watch games alone based on. I can't believe you're the same way. I mean,
Just get into it, especially when they're good. Look, when there's no expectations, I don't get like that. Like, it's just they're in the finals. It's hard. Like, every minute it's a lot.
I watch for the phenomenon. I think that's one of the interesting things about the whole postseason here with both of these teams. It is sort of the obscure, off the beaten path stories that and the storylines that you can't help but kind of fall in love with, and say, hey, all right, so we'll see how this plays out. I mean, the unknowns that have been successful, and the whole Jimmy Butler thing with the chip on his shoulder and his attitude and all of that. The Heat culture. Is Spoelstra a genius or just, the luckiest fucking guy on the planet? Does it matter? And all of his philosophical BS that they give you in the post-game press conferences. And then the blather of the, I mean, you have to have 9 guys on the post-game show now. And obviously there's a huge differential. We mentioned this earlier. I mean, the ESPN show just kind of irritates you, does it not?
I don't watch it at all. I go back.
Yeah, I turn it right off. I mean, I'm not a big fan usually of
It
pre and
sucks.
post game shows, even though I've done a million of them in my lifetime. And you're thinking, who am I talking to here? I guess the people in their cars that were driving the Dolphin games at one time when radio was popular, the pregame show was probably, a well listened to program. No,
Well, we
'Cause
always
you had at least like 25,000 cars going with 50,000 people in them. That probably were listening to the radio on their way into the game, right? Were they listening to music and partying?
we
In this
always
town, they're
listen-
probably shooting heroin and snorting cocaine. No, I mean on the way down there while driving. Did the people look particularly stoned in the No, I mean that was from tailgating, wasn't it? I mean legitimate stuff, drinking beer and stuff like that,
Yes.
maybe to excess. But who are you talking to on these pregame shows? I will tune in and I'll catch segments of the TNT show. I mean, and I do believe that it's a little too much with Barkley already.
Well, my problem is with the TNT. They're done now because they're not covering this.
Yeah.
Finals, but my problem, and I used to watch TNT because I like the banter between Barkley and Shaq. I like trying.
Yeah, it's just fun seeing guys of that stature in basketball rag on each other.
I like trying to figure out what Shaq's saying because sometimes he's louder and sometimes he does the Shaq. So that's a fun game to play. I like Kenny trying to be the logic in between all the lunacy.
Yes.
The problem is in this run, Barkley literally has, I don't know what is going on, but he's taken out a mortgage against the Heat in every game.
You would want to book his action, which people did.
So
except, when they found out they weren't getting paid. He has to have trade out with FanDuel. No, I mean, I would imagine he has no income from that endorsement that he does. I mean, with young Barkley, and the commercials are great.
It's just free play.
you can't help but think, geez, I want to go ahead and parlay like 16 things here. So I make sure I have no shot of winning. Think about it, too. I mean, parlay the Heat on the money line to what? The under in the ball game, and guess what? You end up getting crushed. You lose.
It went off at like 216 and a hook.
You're squaring and cubing. I'll never forget this from the great Milner was his last name, and he was a writer for the Miami News.
Okay.
I want to say Jim Milner. Is that possible? Jim Milner. He was a racing writer, and we interviewed him quite frequently when we were doing these TV shows at the track. And at that time, exotic wagering, as they call it, with the exactas and superfectas and tries, pick threes and all of that. Pick threes didn't even really, they were, I didn't even know if they had them back then. Daily doubles, that was a big thing. Wow, you got a rolling daily double here, which people like. But exotic wagering was really, not being practiced to the extent that it is today. And I'll never forget, he was telling me every time that you factor in another horse, right, to do something, like if you're betting straight win, you only have, one horse has to do one thing. Now, when you start playing exactas, he said, you're squaring and then with trifectas, cubing the luck factor.
Yeah. I mean, you need a lot more to happen, which is a lot harder to happen.
Yes. and in all likelihood does not happen, all of it.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing. You'll make more money. That's why you make more money, because the risk is stupid.
And this is how these people are getting rich from not the big whales that are coming in there and betting like $500,000 on a game. I don't even know if they have those kind of clients at FanDuel and DraftKings, do they?
Probably not. No, they don't want it.
They want some guy that's betting $10 20 element parlays.
Sort of a scheme. Like that's what Ken says is they like the schmanky, for lack of a better word, gambler. Like the
over under props on like Max Strus number of rebounds.
Yes, like Boban Bogdanovic over under 3 rebounds. Like that.
Yes, Udonis has them over under like half a minute.
Minutes. Yeah.
In other words, if he has a sneaker on the court, you win if you played him over. But you still would go ahead and confidently back the under, which you probably have to lay a price on. No, Udonis has them
100%.
Minutes in the postseason. Now, as you throw in Udonis, this should have come up at the press conference. Never mind all this philosophical garbage that they always run by Spoelstra. And Spoelstra fires back with
he's been fiery lately. Whenever they do something he doesn't like, he's like, yeah, that's dumb.
But he still will stay on that, like, Martin Buber-esque wavelength.
Yeah.
Talking in the kind of hyperbole and platitudes that, you really need like an interpreter to try and understand. I think he said they made a lot of shots tonight.
It is my favorite with the Riley. I'll never forget, like, I would go cover the Heat and Riley would talk. He was still coaching them. And, like, while he's talking, you're like, wow, what he's saying sounds so amazing.
Yeah, brilliant.
After, when you try to remember what he said, you're like, I don't know what he actually said.
Did this guy write the Gettysburg Address for Lincoln?
You're like, what did he actually say? Did he actually say things?
Nothing. I mean, it's basketball. There are 2 plays.
Spoelstra does the same thing. You're like so impressed, and then you're like, what did he really say?
There's the weave and the pick and roll. And that's it. There are 2 plays in this whole game that you can execute. And everything that you see is a variation of the weave and the pick and roll, Lubie. There is no other, and I guess a fast break would be a different element of play. Other than that, what?
That's off the
But I mean, in a half-court offense, there are only 2 things that ever take place. You have a bunch of guys weaving on the outside, or you have a pick and roll. Ball goes into the low post, and somebody's cutting to the basket. I mean, it's all variations of the same.
We're gonna say driving kick is something that they act like it's new, but I'm sure it's a variation of those.
Driving kick was an act of desperation in the past. A complete act of desperation. You drove it to the basket. You have absolutely nothing to do with the basketball. You can't go up with a shot. You can't put it on the floor again. You can't change pivot feet. You are fucked. You're in the paint. They already have a 2 count. 1, 2, 3. And now you fire one out to the corner and hope the fat kid makes the shot. A guy that's not even involved in the play. He's just circling around on the perimeter so far out there that he nearly has his back heel out of bounds. You have to check for that. That's a drive and kick. Yeah, I'm not sure that. I mean, I guess it's a legitimate NBA play now, and might be on the college level. But wasn't it usually the result of just a failed maneuver to the basket?
It is funny you're saying that because it's now, and most of my life it's been an offensive like a play. But you're right. Like normally, you never went to the basket trying to pass.
No,
like, would you go to
you might make a dish under the basket.
No,
but you
like,
weren't firing it out to the corner at the top of the key.
No, you go to the basket for a layup. Then you're like, oh fuck, there's nowhere to go. Oh, he's open. Thank God.
Yeah. You had to contort yourself, to go ahead and try to make a pass out there. And, you were lucky if your team ended up receiving the pass.
Yep.
If it wasn't tipped away and the other guy was running down the court there for a nice breakaway layup. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is that a play in basketball?
I mean, it is.
You don't have that much. I mean, for all of the analysis and then this philosophical BS that they run by Spoelstra. Well, you know what? The team felt like it was undervalued going into the season. And, a lot of your players have, had to take therapy to deal with the fact that they're a bunch of fucking scrubs. Eric, how do you address that, before game 2 when you're already down 1-0? And he goes off. I mean, literally, it like Aristotle on the podium there. And, says something that seems, I mean, right out of the Riley book. I mean, did Riley just leave him his own Haftorah to read? Why is this night different from all other nights? How the hell do I know?
He really
What's different? I'm watching another game on TV. Unfortunately for us, it happens to be like South Florida teams that are involved. Anyway, this is a lot of fun what's happening right now in South Florida, no doubt. It's formed a bonding. I don't know. Have the Marlins gotten in on the act there?
Oh, it's every team but the Marlins.
Are they uninvited? Are they like the redheaded stepchild of sports franchises in this town? Even yeah, right. Even the Panthers and the Heat have a bond now. They used to be bitter enemies. Oh, we're going to build our own arena. Remember Wayne? Now that was one of those weird ones. We've had weird statements about stadiums here from Wayne and John Henry. That much was made of when Wayne said, it was, exacerbated by the fact that Neil Rogers used to play this thing like 10 times a show. That if Broward County was going to offer to build a facility, he would never move the Panthers out of Miami-Dade. And then, a week later, they had, they were like breaking ground.
I didn't realize he said that.
Flat out. I had to forget it was at a press conference or something. And Rogers had the clip of it. He used to play it incessantly, which was, if Broward County were to come right now with an offer to build an arena for us, we would not leave Dade County. And the next day, they were having a ribbon cutting. It was incredible.
I thought that's why he called them Florida, was because he presumed they'd go to Broward at some point.
No, that was a weird thing about Wayne Huizenga. I mean, he had the Marlins were originally the Florida Marlins.
Yeah, but they were in like Miami.
Because he wanted them to be, I think he felt that, I mean, this was what I remember the conversation being at the time was that he felt like there really wasn't that much support, down here in South Florida. So that if he represented the entire state, that they might be more well supported. Even though we had other teams in the state.
Yeah,
right?
The Lightning and the Rays came at like the exact same time as both teams.
Yeah, it was a dumb move on the part of Wayne Huizenga to kind of diss the local area here and, have the name be the Florida Marlins. I mean, what is that, right? Where are they from? Orlando? Give me a break. He should have had him travel around. He would have gotten more attendance now. They could have played at one of those Little League fields in Orlando there by Disney World and drawn more fans than they were here. That's for sure. But anyway, I mean, it got us a team. Was that only to get involved in the NFL with Wayne Huizenga? What do you think? Was that the only reason that he got involved with baseball and hockey? To be able to get a piece and then eventually full control of the Dolphins, which he purchased for a song and a dance. Can you imagine? I was thinking about Wayne the other day for some reason on my walk of life. I was thinking no matter how much money you have, no matter how lavish of a lifestyle you've lived, if you're not breathing anymore, it doesn't help. Right? You can't take it with you. That happens to be a legitimate truth. All right, we're going to come back and wrap up the show. Peel yourself off the mat Monday. Reason to celebrate, no? The storyline, we had to rip up the lead right away. I mean, on their deathbed, we had the Miami Heat. Well, they'll be lucky to salvage a game at home when they come back. Now we have them winning the series, right?
I see. I haven't ebbed like that. People do it from game to game. I was like, look, they lost. There's no silver linings. But the fact that they couldn't at the side of a barn and every shot they got was open is something interesting that I took away from that game, and it made me excited to see if he could exploit it, which they did, and they still almost lost. The Nuggets, you're up 12 with 3.5 left. I don't give a shit who you're playing. You should be able to win that game coasting.
Well, and also being down 8 going to the 4th, it's improbable you're going to win that game.
That's true. It wasn't both ends. But I this idea, it's over. I'm like, let them play the series, guys. Like, I understand what the Heat have been through, and I get this is the best team they're playing. This is the team that does have a talent advantage, unlike I didn't think the other teams 100% did. I mean, the Bucks did, but not the Knicks or the Celtics. But that doesn't mean that he can't find a way to work through it. They've done that. Spoelstra's been here a lot. Like, let's see. That's what they did. I wouldn't go the other way now. Like, Nuggets fans are like, well, you tell me all these happen. We lose by 3. You don't have to justify anything, Nuggets fans. Your team's better. It's okay. But they can lose too. Like, it happens.
Well, and, look, they were due for a loss also. They had been just running people out of the building there and had an incredible record. The 32-1 going into that fourth quarter of times they've led going into the fourth quarter and won. That was a pretty amazing stat to go into and actually defeat. Hey, we're coming back with more. Mike Lubie Lubitz, a euphoric Lubie Lubitz who was right for a rare change. 2 series in a row now so far. I mean, even if you're wrong the rest of the way, the fact that you were right about this game, that was a good thing because I saw them losing and, eventually losing this thing in 5. So while that's still in play, it's far less likely than it was just a few hours ago. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that. It's 8:50. The Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
This comes from the great Defo Lama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Good way to start out the week. Hey, peel yourself off the mat Monday here, where we have something positive to talk about. We have all throughout. It's been remarkable. But if you're in the sports talk business, so to speak, is this not what you want? The local team to do well, as opposed to, for years, we thrived on the negativity about everything. I literally, as a professional, I shouldn't even say this, but it certainly was more beneficial for me to root for the local teams to lose every game every night, or so it seemed. so that the people, yeah, I mean, in caller-driven radio times, it was great, right? You'd come in the morning there and really not have a whole lot left in the tank after being out till 3 in the morning and doing various things that probably were, ill-advised if you wanted to have longevity in your life. And as euphoric as you felt, you still were coming in a bit uncomfortable about being able to, enunciate words for 4 hours without completely just start fumbling and bumbling and, mumbling. And, you would throw open a microphone now after a loss and, hey, can you believe these Heat, man? They suck.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
Nothing.
People would just call him bitch.
Alonzo Mourning is the biggest stiff I've ever seen in my life. I'll hang up and listen. Well, Zoe, I mean, he plays a good, solid ball game. That was always weird, but it was an easy way to work. And it was entertaining in its own way. But it was far better, the circumstances if the teams all lost. And then Dave Hyatt, on the other hand, was saying that, winning sells, which it does.
It does, yes. Well,
Yes.
the problem is you were used to them being good and then losing, so people be pissed.
Yes.
If they're just always losing, then people are apathetic, and that's the worst, like you've always said.
Yes, the indifference. It's true of all relationships. Once the indifference sets in, which is what? I mean, some people would call it the 7-year itch. I don't know that it takes that long to get to the point where you really don't care, right? Oh, she's sleeping with the mailman? Yeah.
Good for
I
her.
hope you had a good time, yeah.
Good for
Did any checks come in?
Exactly.
It's weird.
Oh, my God.
We're at a level of intelligence now where and this kind of amazes me. I mean, the whole thing with George Orwell, Big Brother's watching, right?
Yeah.
1984. I mean, think about that. This was a concept that was projected out, and, it was supposedly going to be like in the distant future, and that was 1984 they were talking about. And here we are, and it's more than happening where they can identify what's in your mail before it comes now.
Oh, Jesus.
You can get that information on your phone. Like if a check's coming,
Yeah.
you're aware of it. Now, I mean, by what standard? How do you figure that? Where that you can track where your mail is coming from and when it's coming before it comes. We don't even know if the mailman's going to come that day, and they already know that there's a check in the mail. Who's they, by the way? They're watching, Lubie. They're watching.
They're watching, yes, sir.
All right, so you make a score again, too. Plus 275 on the Miami Heat. Very generous on the money line. While that seemed maybe a little bit unfathomable, I wasn't sure that I ever was convinced that the Heat were going to win that game until, they started hitting those dagger shots towards about the 4-minute mark of the fourth quarter. And Denver was unable to answer back. It did seem like, I mean, in his awkwardness, how did this guy score 41 points, Jokic? Looking like, literally, like you said, like he was ready to take a pratfall at any time. Jerry Lewis was more unbalanced than this guy is when he shoots the basketball. Or does anything for that matter. And then, we talked about the flying elbows. My God. He is going to kill somebody, is he not?
I'm not even trying to bitch about the refs. I've just never seen a guy do the elbow thing. Like usually,
and so pronounced because of his awkwardness.
Well, you usually use your forearm. It's not supposed to be legal, but they let guys get away with it at this time of the year. Fine. He literally does his elbow. He'll stick his elbow into their chest, and I'm like, that's gotta hurt. Like that's just not even like an advantage. That's gotta actually be physically painful as a defender because his elbow is big and it's sharp as fuck. Like I'm like, that's gotta hurt. Like. They're not even wincing. I'm like, good for them.
I love when Zeller is on Jokic. That's my favorite matchup of the postseason.
I hate it.
In any series.
It makes me so
especially with the mask on. I mean, it looks even more peculiar than he normally would coming out there. And once again, I mean, counting on two guys that should be playing in a 40 and over league, Kevin Love and not that they're counting on Zeller. I mean, they need to give Adebayo the so-called blow. And so Zeller is what? Their only option? Can you imagine? What happened to that big guy that was showing some promise a couple of years ago?
Well, Deadman, they got rid of.
Yugoslavian. Who is that?
7, they love, but he was hurt pretty much the entire year, so he got no fun. So he's healthy now, but they're not going to now start playing him when he didn't play the entire year.
Okay, all right, because I was thinking, and what happened to Highsmith last night? Where was he?
They played him. They just, I don't know if they know what to do with him. Like Love was actually very useful, like on defense, which is weird to say.
How did they win that game? That's pretty amazing. In a million years, I literally going to the fourth quarter, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to at least sustain, some level of awareness, before falling asleep. through about the 6-minute mark here, just in case, the Heat come back and make a run. And then before you know it, I mean, they were right back in this thing with this Duncan Robinson, Reggie Miller thing.
Raj, yeah, it was fucking weird. He made a 3, then he got an and 1, bricked, but they got the offensive rebound and then made a 3.
Twisting, driving,
I was like,
layups, avoiding contact, or getting contact and, avoiding having the shot block with maneuvers at the basket. I mean, all of a sudden, this guy's Kyrie Irving at the hoop.
Yep.
He's kind of a klutz going to the basket, although he can dunk, which,
that's weird.
I mean, is even a little bit surprising, is it not? Duncan Robinson?
Yes. He never did anything but shoot threes.
That's it, yeah.
Anything for 4 years outside of shoot threes until this series. It's last series. He did the cutting to the basket layups with Bam a couple games versus Celtics.
I don't even know if he took layups in the layup drill.
I never see him do layups. Yeah. Never. It was the weirdest thing.
Were you one of those guys that instead of the layup, you would just stop and pop and everybody would look at you and go, come on, DeForest, what the fuck?
I would try and shoot layups.
Would you ever go to the basket just once?
I was always
nobody guarding him. Yeah,
that was horrible. I can never finish. I would make a great move, get to the basket, clank.
Yeah, I was a lousy layup shooter. I really was.
So bad. And I should have shot it with 2 hands, but I felt weird shooting with 2 hands because it's a layup. Yeah. But I'm so short. To do this is stupid. I can't even get near the basket.
Yeah, just cupping the ball up there and letting some guy swat it in your face. You got Spalding printed on your forehead. I had some moves around the basket, believe it or not, for what would be a smaller guy going inside, but I was a horrible layup shooter. I would routinely just pull up and shoot a 12-foot jumper over taking a layup, even not on breakaways. You had to go ahead and go to the basket, but I had to shoot from the left side because I shot my layups from the right side off the wrong foot.
Okay.
Yeah, I shot off my right foot. So from the left side, it was easy, and then that lean-in shot with the right hand on the underhanded shot was a very easy conversion also. So if I was shooting a layup, it was from the left side, unless you did the old Steve Nash Cochise move where you went under the basket and circled around a couple of times, and finally put up a basket from the opposite side. But in general, terrible layup shooter, which you would think Duncan Robinson would be. All of a sudden, he's making everything at the basket.
It's weird.
All right, well, it's good stuff, man. We're waving the Heat flags. And they come back, as they said, to the 305. And, now, once again, you have that Tyler Hero story looming in the background. 3 more days of rest before they get back out on their court on Wednesday. Do you insert him into the game and see what he's got? If
I don't understand not playing him at all. Like, if he's really not... He's really that hurt. Like, I don't get not playing him at all, though. Like, just put him out there. Like, he's that hurt. Like, is he practicing with him? He looks okay.
Broken hand on a shooter. You would think that would be prohibitive. That it was a shooting hand that was broken. I'm presuming, Yeah. All right.
But I mean, it's 2 months at this point, and he had the surgery.
Yeah.
And he's been recovering for a month now. I mean, if he's hurt, he's hurt. Look, they're finding a way without him. It's just, to me, if you can inject him just as a possibility into this series,
it hasn't been necessary. I mean, I was thinking about it. I mean, I didn't see Highsmith at all last night.
He played.
This was a guy that was such an integral part of what they did in the previous ball game, even though they lost it. All right, so good stuff. Yeah, he did. Okay.
Well, just what happened was that lineup with Robinson, which was supposed to just be a spell, ended up taking over. So it changed the rotation for everyone. Like, they just went long with that, and then they could put their starters back in. And that's what they ended up doing.
Interestingly, the Denver's best spurt in the game came with Jokic on the bench.
Out. Yep.
That's funny.
It's weird.
All right. Mike Mayo has a lunchbox. I'm a passeroo on that show. Lubie tells me already in advance. But it will be at Shenanigans. And that's in Dania, across the street from the Mayo Mansion. And Chris Perkins is going to be out there live with Patrick Utter.
Yes, sir.
And Mike Mayo, who should be euphoric right now. Yeah. He's been flip-flopping, though. I mean, wow. Talk about a guy with no commitment to his sports opinion. That would be Mike Mayo. He just goes all
in on every game. It's like the last game. It's like, no, this.
Whoever made the last shot, that's who he's going with. Oh, yeah, it's the Heat all the way. Anyway, if you're talking some food, then it'd be some good food. What a time to be at Shenanigans, too. I mean, during this whole playoff run, they have to be just kicking it out of the park here, no?
Yep, every game. Every day.
Unbelievable. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so that's 12 o'clock today. Lubie will be on hand for that, although I would imagine you'll be in the background on this thing.
You won't get much of me today.
Chowing down. Okay, very good. All right, so that's coming up later on today on South Florida Live. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time
Thank you, Johnny. It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.